described his New York City rally as
an absolute love fest.
Trump says it was an honor to be involved. There were crude and racist comments by some of the speakers at Madison Square Garden.
Nobody's ever had love like that.
In Washington, D.C., Kamala Harris will give her closing argument, explaining why she should be the next president. In Georgia, running mate Tim Walz said,
Donald Trump's a loser in everything that he's done.
Walz told a crowd in Savannah there is a lot in the loss column.
He loses jobs, he loses businesses, he loses in court. And no matter what J.D. Vance says, he lost the 2020 election.
In remarks released before her speech, Kamala Harris will call Donald Trump unstable, obsessed with revenge, and consumed by grievance. A federal judge threw out a lawsuit by 6 Republican members of Congress seeking to make Pennsylvania election officials institute new checks confirming the eligibility and identity of soldiers, sailors, and others who vote from overseas. President Biden announced $3 billion to reduce carbon emissions at ports around the country.
For too long, they've run on fossil fuels and aging infrastructure, putting workers at risk and exposing nearby communities to dangerous pollution.
The president was at the Port of Baltimore. In March, a bridge collapse killed 6 construction workers and disrupted East Coast shipping routes for months. China launched a new 3-person crew to its own orbiting space station as the country tries to expand its exploration of outer space with missions to the moon and beyond. A human-caused fire destroyed a house where it began and continued to burn in the central Colorado mountains. A federal judge who recently chastised Florida officials for trampling on free speech rights continued to block the head of the state's health department from taking any more steps to threaten TV stations that air commercials for an abortion rights measure on next week's ballot. Stocks finished mixed, the Dow down 154 points. This is AP News. The AP's Julie Walker reports New York Mayor Eric Adams says comments at a Donald Trump rally about Puerto Rico being a garbage island were wrong, but
you can't demonize an entire population based on the actions of those who attend.
The Democratic mayor pushed back at what he calls silly questions regarding his opinion of the Republican candidate for president.
All that's going on to everyday New Yorkers, we're asking questions that is someone a fascist or is someone a Hitler. That's insulting to me. That is insulting. And I'm not going to engage in that.
Adams also declining to say if he opposes Trump's mass deportation program, fueling speculation. The mayor, indicted on federal bribery charges, is looking for legal protection from the presidential candidate. Julie Walker, New York.
I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
Good morning, Marianas. So many things we gotta discuss. Happy day, Tirawamian greetings to Rhoda, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. For all your island news from a beautiful place with Pacific views. It's always so much fun on Good Morning, Marianas.
Good morning, good morning. Look at all you guys in the comments. This is awesome. Not messing around. You guys are getting right to work. What am I doing taking my time? It's 7:16. It's 7:16. It's Buffalo time. That's the official time. We're the 670 out there in Buffalo, 7:16. It's Buffalo time out here in the Marianas. You're all caught up with the Associated Press. We start with that. Get the show started with that for a little bit. Get you guys started. And we're going to roll right into it today because we have a lot to get to, including the weather. That's right. In about 15 minutes, we're going to have Landon Aliff from the National Weather Service out here to let us know what to expect out here. Will it be windy? Will it be pleasant? Will the sun be shining? We're going to find out. And the man, the myth, the legend himself is going to be here with us. I can't wait. It's going to be great. You're taking a look right now live on Beach Road in Olei. It looks pretty sweet out there, actually. It's perfect. You might notice something different about those roads. Look at the cones. They're off to the side. That's right. We are cone-free, baby. That's progress. We're getting closer. We are absolutely getting closer because we are down to the little flappy flaps, the white ones and the yellow ones, to let us know what side of the road and what part to drive in. That is pretty cool. That car doesn't seem to understand how it works there. There you go. You just merged in. Good job, buddy. Good job. You made it. I'm proud of you, pal. Great job. All right. Well, anyway, that's what we got going on Beach Road. But there is traffic happening all around Saipan. We're going to take a look at it real quick, just so you guys can know what's going on. If you haven't left the house yet, good news. We're out there scouting for you already. Take a look. And things are looking good because it's still the early time. It's still 7:17. One of the busiest intersections on Saipan in the morning is wide open. So if you're smart and you want to leave the house early, you are in good shape. That's over there at Chalmonsigner Martinez, over there by Shell Dandan. It also gets a little bit hairy over there by the I-T&E intersection, and you can see it a little bit. By the way, the gubernatorial election is 2 years away, and it might not be too early to send in our nominees for the brilliant guy with the road crew that put in those little orange pylons when you're making a right-hand turn onto Middle Road from Chalmonsigner Guerrero, because holy cow, that is like the absolute best thing. You don't have to wait to find out, oh, is that guy going to veer a little bit into my lane? No, it makes traffic so much easier right there. It is awesome. It is awesome. AK intersection looking a little slow because there's only one lane and they're doing crazy construction down there. This is a big deal for you guys. If you're thinking you're just going to scoot through Beach Road unscathed by AK, not going to happen. No, they are carving up the road over there. You know, that intersection was more like a roller coaster anyway. It's down, it's up, it's down, it's up. Who knows what's going to happen? Luckily, there's been no loop-de-loops, but it's been pretty close. Anyway, if you're trying to make a right-hand turn onto Beach Road from the CMG, good luck. You can already see it's 7:19 and traffic's already backed up, and it's lousy. They're pulling up more road at that intersection. You know, they said they were going to, not part of this project, but they did say that was a prime location for one of those roundabouts. It doesn't appear to me like there's enough room for it, but if there is, I say go for it. It would make everything so much easier. It is not a great intersection. It's certainly not now with all of the traffic, but if they could put a roundabout over there, we'd be in some pretty good shape. I mean, look at that. The traffic hasn't even kicked up yet. It's because they're carving everything up. I know. At least there's some progress right out in front of us. We're going to zoom out real quick and take a look at what things are looking like over by AMP. Oh, it looks like down at the base of Capitol Hill at Issa Drive, it's a little bit hairy. So if you're coming down by Ina's Kitchen, if only they had breakfast. Imagine with all the magic they make for lunch, if they had breakfast at Ina's Kitchen, you could just pull in there, grab yourself a cup of coffee, or who knows, maybe a Stella, and have some great eggs with all the other stuff that they make over there. But it is slowing down, coming down Capitol Hill right now. So at the base, just expect a little bit of a delay. They're backed up. It's already at least by, it's not quite by the Flame Tree area, but it's pretty close. Anyway, just know that you're going to be a little bogged down over there. But the good news is, over by the tennis courts, things still looking good. You're coming down Navy Hill. Yeah, people are starting to back up a little bit coming down the hill. That's not a big deal. There's probably a red light, and then it's going to keep going. The key thing is, leave early, and it's not going to be a headache. It's nice and easy. I love this. Great comment. I'm starting to think that maybe we shouldn't have done 20% of 20 projects with material sensitive to rain on an island with 300 days of rain. You know, Jim Bob for governor. Jim Bob for Congress. You might have come in here as a special prosecutor, but you've just become our special friend. You're bringing some sanity to everything that's going on out here. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's going to be nice at night. And even when our roads are done, I think we would be best served by having some great lights on both sides of the road. That's really how they do it. That's how you get the effective lighting all the way through. And by the way, I'd love to start an initiative where we replace some of those street lights in certain times of the year. Usually it's once in spring and once in fall, with bug zappers. That could probably eradicate our termite problem. You know how it is? It's like for a half an hour somewhere in like everywhere. It's usually it's like March, April-ish, and then somewhere in the fall. I can't remember what month it is. But like for a half an hour between like 7 and 7:30, it's like termite central. They're all out there buzzing around you just put up bug zappers for that time. I think you got your problem solved. We'll be golden if we end up doing that. All right, it's not the big traffic issue, but that is one of the issues. Anyway, we already got you the update for the Associated Press. We're going to get you the weather update here in about 8 minutes. We got Landon, who's going to be calling in from Guam. Hold on. Is this a message from him? Yeah, so he'll be calling in, and we'll be talking about what's coming our way in the world of weather. Looks like we got another sponsor coming on board. That's great news, and we're going to finalize that today. We would have done it yesterday, but I was just too wiped out. So it's okay. It'll be starting in time for March. Mike Yang, great to see you. Dude, you are the VIP of Joe 10 Superstore. On top of doing all the cool stuff you do over there, your photos and videos that you shoot are just outstanding, dude. It is a gift that you have this eye for putting together such a nice composition. And you're one of the underappreciated photographers out here. You might do it just so you could push some of the drone stuff that you sell over there at a great price, by the way, because they're a direct authorized retailer. But man, they are outstanding. Absolutely love your stuff. Hey, Tobot, nice voice, Brad. Tobot, I got those files for you that you were asking for the audio. When we take a break, I will send them your way. I got them all pulled up here, ready to go, and we'll get that stuff knocked out for you. Oh man, I'll tell you what. There is a case in federal court today that it's not really big on the. I haven't seen a whole lot of it recently, but we heard about it in February and we heard about it in March when these things happened. When again, people trying to book one-way trips to Guam via boat that aren't really supposed to do it. Well, they're out there in district court today. Yeah, today is the day. You've got Xulan Huang, Meifang Wang, and Hong Zhong Yang. They are all going to be in there today. So apparently, opening comments are just about an hour away, opening remarks, and then there was going to be the prosecution gets going 9 o'clock ish today. So if you want to see what happens, and again, it's going to be some good testimony. You're going to hear a guy who was in the air, spotting him, looking at the witness list. You're going to have like helicopter pilots. It should be interesting today down at the federal courthouse. Looking forward to getting down there and checking that out later today. There's a lot going on today outside of that case. In fact, hold on, let me pull this up and I'll tell you. Because today we got a new feature for the channel today, but today at 10 o'clock, there is a board meeting at the for CPA at 10 o'clock. 11 o'clock is when I've got a feature that's going to be happening over at Laddie Built. But today is also the day where they're going to have the special meeting over at CUC. It's nonstop. Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. But it is wild how many things are happening today. It is not a day to only have one newspaper. What they're going to be doing today, in fact, here, I can open this up. You guys can see it. Put it on the old share screen. This is what's going on at CUC today. It's a special board meeting. Oh, no, sorry, it's tomorrow. Thank goodness it's tomorrow. Because I don't have any more room on my calendar for today. But I thought it was today, but it says it's tomorrow. Halloween, a lot of tricks and treats going on. 9 o'clock. They're going to talk about a few things. You go through your regular, but public education about the fuel adjustment charge to combat misinformation. The financial impact of the passage of the Senate bill, that's the one that's going to change the rate structure for the hospital. And then they're going to read the notice to call. Oh, sorry, that's something else. My eyes glanced somewhere else. Then this one, the recent breaches of confidentiality by former employees. Now, here's the thing that gets me a little bit. Why'd they push the public comments all the way down to 5? I think you got to do that at the beginning. I would put that right after adoption of agenda. Let people unload at the beginning and move on. That's really it. Or not unload. Maybe it's a mischaracterization of what'll happen. Maybe it's an opportunity to hear something and maybe talk about that during the meeting. That's probably pretty good. And leave that open. You could put that under whatever they bring up. You could even throw that into, well, it says announcements. Or you could throw something in there called new business later to talk about that if you wanted to. What we do at the VFW, part of that meeting is called the good of the order. That could be it. Just something similar to that. Well, anyway, it should be interesting. I know there's going to be a lot of folks down there to talk about all that stuff, especially because today there's supposed to be that, where's the events? There it is. Today there's supposed to be that town hall. Hold on. I'll move this over a little bit. Tonight, over at Last Shot, the Marianas Business Network and Candace Munoz, they're going down there and they're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. They asked me to stream it. And I told them I would, but I can't because tonight I've got my kids' Halloween at their school. And I only got so many of those left, right, before they're off and gone, and I'm not going to. And who knows how many I got left, but how many are they going to want me around for? Hopefully all of them. But, I'm realistic. I understand how it works. Anyway. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Getting back to that, Louisa, saw your thing. Yeah, the roundabout. There was supposed to be a roundabout at AMP for sure. I remember that whole project and all that stuff. Didn't happen. But with your most recent comment about the public not wanting to stick around through 1 to 4, yep, that happens. That's it. I would always put public comments first. Absolutely. And it's very tough. Let me see if they put the same thing in here. Oh, I got Landon calling me. 1 second. Let's open them up over here. Okay, let's answer here. Oh, just a moment. We're trying to get him on here. See if it worked. Oh, no. Let's call him. I'll just call him back because I clearly couldn't get to it in time. Landon, that's a great view of your ceiling.
Good morning.
Hey, sorry, partner. I tried to call you and it did not work. I tried to answer and it did not work.
Oh, no worries. We are here now.
Awesome. Well, great to see you. And it looks, oh, there he is. The man, the myth, the legend. Dude, I got to tell you, I loved your most recent posts about taking down the Tower for Humanity with the little meme from Star Wars. That was awesome. Just awesome.
I have a very talented communications team with this tower project. So kudos to Janet on my team for making those graphics and videos.
That is excellent. She's a superstar.
Yes.
Hey, so it turned out we had a bit of wind and a bit of rain, understatement, lots of flooding. You even got to post a bunch of that flooding. I don't know if you were in a car or a boat when you posted some of those things.
I was at the airport hoping my flight would get delayed. I was very saddened that the flight did not get postponed or canceled. There was never a time I wanted a flight to be canceled so that I could stay in Saipan and deal with the ongoing flooding that was coming in to me from photos and videos all over Saipan. It was just a epic Saturday morning after what had been a very wet couple days already.
Oh, man, it was. And it was kind of like what you were saying. You always mention that. It's not even the wind. They always talk about the wind. People focused on the wind, but it's the rain, the amount of rain that really causes the most casualties.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that was the theme and the course that I was instructing across Rota, Tinian, and Saipan last week was that we have the storm categories, and that's based off of the wind speeds. But statistics show that most of the casualties with tropical cyclones come from the water aspect, and it doesn't have to be a typhoon to cause significant impacts. For us in Saipan, that was only a tropical depression, and look what the impacts were across Saipan.
It was a massive amount of rain in a short amount of time. And I'll tell you what, I can tell you that our landscapers are way backed up because of all the weather, too. Weeks behind. They're going to get back to my place. And they've got Jurassic Park waiting for them because of all the rain that's been coming. And but I'll tell you what, after as bad as Friday and Saturday were, Sunday was beautiful.
Sunday was beautiful. And let me tell you about Jurassic Park. I'll send you some photos from my house because I have been so busy with the band tour to Vienna, Austria back in June and July, and then the Tower Project in August, and then also in October. I have not had the time I want to do a lot of weed blasting, weed cutting, and I have swordgrass that's twice my height. So I'll send you some photos of a Jurassic Park nightmare that's evolving in my front yard.
Wow, so you're building them with logs? Are you building your own logs? Is that what they're going to turn into?
At that point, I might as well just keep it growing.
Man, that's wild. That's impressive stuff. For sure.
Absolutely.
But man, I'll tell you, like Sunday was great. We got a real legit day to dry out. It was probably one of the nicest days. I don't remember the last time we had a day as nice as Sunday was.
Sunday was beautiful, and it was a little tricky for us on Guam on Saturday because there were a lot of events and festivities scheduled, and that's when we got the one big deluge on Guam, and that was around Saturday afternoon. But Sunday was beautiful. And it's going to be a beautiful week ahead. And so we do have a little bit of showers pushing over Guam right now and near Rota. But Saipan and Tinian, not so bad. This is all part of a surface trough that's pushing by just to our southeast. And that's going to keep generally south of Tinian and Saipan. I'm going to go to the satellite showing the bigger picture of what we're dealing with. And there's that surface trough just pushing off to our southeast. Not so bad at all for Rota or Saipan and Tinian, where the dry conditions will continue, but we're going to have some spotty showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two today, but maybe these clouds will bring a few showers to Saipan. But otherwise, a beautiful rest of the week. And for the Halloween forecast, it's going to be all treats and very little tricks for us in the Mariana Islands going through tomorrow and tomorrow night if you're going to be out there trick-or-treating.
Oh, yeah. There's an awful lot. There's not so many neighborhood events that happen, but there's a few events that do happen. They call them trunk or treats often in the parking lots.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there's going to be one with the governor's office here on Guam. I think that's either going to be tonight or it's going to be tomorrow night. And that was rescheduled from Saturday with all the heavy weather and lightning that we had Saturday afternoon. I do want to bring attention to, we're looking at Pohnpei State right now. Here's Kosrae, Pohnpei, and Chuk Lagoon. We watched this in 90W. That's rated sub-low by the JTWC. This was a weak circulation that was passing just northeast of Pohnpei yesterday. Some of the models, actually most of the models, don't do much with this circulation, but there is one model, and that's usually our aggressor for tropical cyclone development in the region, that does want to spin this up in some degree later this week into the weekend as it passes in some form south of Guam this weekend. But nevertheless, it is there, and it is generating a lot of weather from just north of the equator all the way up to Pohnpei, the main island up there. A lot of showers, a lot of thunderstorms, and where some early signs of drought is starting to emerge across Kapinga Marengi. This is going to be some much needed rainfall to help alleviate some of the dryness. But where is it going from here? It looks like it's going to be tracking generally passing near or south of Guam. I don't usually like to show model solutions on broadcast, but I do want to highlight, everybody asked me, do you see this app on the phone? Is it accurate? And so, yes, we see those apps and we see the same information. This is the American model showing that circulation in some form passing just south of Guam, possibly as a tropical depression, a tropical storm, intense system. This is looking at Sunday morning. But look at this other forecast model. We're looking at southeast wind 5 to 10 knots. And so this is the European model, which is usually a little bit slower to develop systems. This is the one that a lot of people like to take screenshots and share it virally on social media, the American GFS. And so when we're looking at these scenarios, this is literally a 4 to 5 day forecast. And look at that range of scenarios. And so this is what we are always looking at and deciphering with our forecast. So always go to the official forecast for information regarding weather threats in the region. And my computer is going crazy right now all of a sudden. I'm going backwards at high speed, and I don't know how to stop that.
Well, that's great. Everyone's got to, that'll definitely make our viewers jump up now. We're talking with the weather guy. We're looking at that monstrosity that was there for a second. Well, that's great. You know, it's
I might have to restart my computer. I've never seen this happen before.
Well, you know, it looks like your computer's getting a little stage fright. I think that's what it is. Don't worry, it happens to lots of guys. That's what they say. It's all right. You're doing fine. Hey, man, you guys, looks like you guys wrapped up everything over there at Agana. And what's it like moving in with all your blocks again?
You know, I'm going to have to start charging rent. We're going to be taking the tower down on Saturday. So anybody that's here on Guam that wants to help and get the hands dirty and volunteering and helping sort blocks, we're going to do that basically all day Saturday at the Agana Shopping Center. So we're going to go there around 9:30, doors open at 10. We're going to go there at 9:30, start prepping the floor. We're going to line all the floor and the tiles with a couple layers of cardboard boxes just to keep the floor protected, but also the blocks, so it will dampen the fall of any blocks onto the tiles. And then we're going to lay a bunch of tables, a ring of tables. It's kind of a perimeter to dam up the center court so that prevents blocks from catapulting all the way down to the SM store or the Raw store at the far end of the mall, because they will fall and roll all over the center court once that tower comes down. And then we're going to probably spend about 8 hours dismantling, sorting, and repacking the blocks, and then bring it all back to my house for storage.
Wow. It's a block party.
Block party.
Man, that's great. Did you guys already do all the tallies to find out how much you were able to raise for this?
Yeah, we're looking at around 15 to 18,000 cans of food. We had a good 11 to 12,000 cans of food just from the construction, but then also the on-site donations, people sponsoring a log, as well as the other drop sites around the island. And we're also looking at around $5,000 to $7,000 in donations to the charity, including $1,000 from a retired businessman who lives in Taiwan, who heard about this project. So this has been a phenomenal boost for the charity. And as you saw, Lori was up in Saipan last week, and she was doing her rounds and trying to lay the groundwork to start efforts up in Saipan, and she had some tremendous success. I was not able to meet up with her last week because of my busy schedule with the weather and everything else, but she had a very good time in Saipan, and we hope to build that program across the CNMI as well. I'll be having dinner with her tonight to chat about her trip, and then she returns back to Kansas City on Friday, and then we're going to start laying out the framework for next year and how we're going to build upon this year's success.
So can we spell it like with a C-A-N, like Kansas City? You know, with her, I think is the new thing. I was having some conversations with folks who've been following everything you guys have been doing, and they love the idea of doing that here, especially like at Marianas Business Plaza, because that atrium is so huge. And
that would be great.
And they're really open to all kinds of activities and events that they have there. And so I think that might be your place, the real hub of activity.
All someone has to do is reach out to us, and we can start some discussions and a framework on how we're going to do it, what we're going to do, and we can work with Lori or maybe some other charity up there. We are open to all ideas. And so we're not linked only with Lori and B. Hartfeld, but that's one of our annual partnerships to help with construction.
Well, also going to need a partnership with someone to ship all those blocks here. That's going to be it.
Yeah, if somebody can figure that out, that would be a huge success.
You know, it was probably about 2 years ago, but I ended up having a call with the the guy who runs and owns not CTSI, Triple B. And I think that might be the thing. The only thing is it takes a little time to get here, but that's okay. Yeah, that's not the rush, right? And same with getting it back. And you're good to go. I've done that. I've shipped with them a bunch, and they have been fantastic for me. So I think that might be the way to go. In fact, when I went to race in Guam, we shipped with Triple B at one point, just so that all our bikes would get there ahead of us, and it was great. So good. It's a good opportunity.
So somebody from Triple B is listening, or somebody has contacts. Get in touch with me, because I think we could start a discussion and figure out how to make this happen.
Excellent. I didn't see it, but Tobot did. He said, I love the WD-40 cup. Need them for my joints. Yeah, there it is.
It's not real WD, just in case anybody's wondering.
It's great. All right, so our forecast is looking pretty good out here. Maybe we're going to get a little bit of a sprinkle, maybe not.
Yeah, just some spotty showers, and this thing is still going loopy on me. It's going in high-speed reverse, and yeah, I don't know how to fix that, so I'm going to have to just restart the system. But the radar, wow, this whole system is out. So yeah, everything's going in opposite directions, so don't pay attention to
It's a polarity shift, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know what's happening, but the forecast is in.
I've never seen this in 14 years, so I'm going to just do a restart. But yeah, beautiful weather for the remainder of the week. And so we're going to just watch that 90W as it's just spinning up near Pompeii and the FSM. It does not look like any perceived threats to the CNMI. That's the good news, but we'll watch it as long as it's out there and then communicate effectively to the FSM for any impacts they'll have.
That's great. Well, definitely appreciate the update. I know you got a busy day today too, but man, just the fact that you're there for us all the time, it would be great. Oh, what does it say? It says, do a mock-up of the Nauru building with the actual turning top. Yes, if you did the 360 building with the spinning on top. Yes.
I like a challenge, and one of our tower team members, Brian, he's a brilliant mind with anything electronic and engineering. He could probably figure out a spinning top.
Yeah.
Well, think about that.
That sounds outstanding. I'm thinking of something difficult. I don't know the name of the tower, but they've got like a tower in Shanghai where there's like that big ball in the middle, and then it goes up, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get eyes on that one later in November, because I will be in Shanghai for a week of conference with the Typhoon Committee. And so I plan on getting eyes on a number of towers in that city, as well as in Vietnam. The week before Shanghai, I'll actually be unplugging and taking a week off.
Whoa.
Going to Vietnam to visit a tower that I hope to do at the Micronesia Mall in 2026.
No kidding. Man, it's exciting. You get to go to all these places for your actual job, but it actually looks like a great scouting opportunity to go and find out the next project.
Yeah, and I always like to dream big, and I think that's the underscoring message I have to people that watch our projects is dream big and then reach for the stars. And, the only person stopping you is yourself.
That is great. Yes, that is awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. And, man, I got to tell you, Landon, we're so thankful that you're able to give us the call and let us know what's happening out here, and calling all the way from Guam, racking up all those long-distance bills, and just to make sure that we know what's happening with the weather.
Regarding long distance, I was looking at United Airlines, and it's actually cheaper for me to fly from Guam to Narita to Cebu round trip on United than it is to fly round trip to Saipan. So I might go to Cebu one of these days for like a 3-day weekend.
Oh my gosh. Just
baffling.
It is baffling. I don't want to get you too into trouble talking about this one. But I'll tell you, man, I could talk about this one all day. United. I will let you go. Then I can go on my United rant. I don't want to pull you in with me on that.
I need to look and see if I can fly from Guam to Narita to Saipan and what that would cost.
To make it
because
cheaper.
You could work up some miles and segments on that.
Yes, the PQP. It's definitely. I have definitely taken flights that have extra stops in different places just so I could build up those segments to get my little status.
Oh heck yeah! And it's hard to get the segments built up over here too, because it's all your segments are so long. Versus in the States, you can just hop all over the cities, and it's like, oh, last weekend I got 15 segments.
If there's a benefit to all that of living here, is that just going through Guam is a segment, right? So that's a built-in.
Yes.
You're good to go. And then you got to hit somewhere else before you get somewhere else too. So like whether we're going to go through Seoul or go through Narita.
But it's important, if you take the island hopper and you fly direct from Guam to Chuuk to Pohnpei, Koshiro, Kwajalein, Madro, Hawaii, that's only one segment.
No.
Unfortunately.
That's just another case of the man keeping us down. That's a great.
I was bummed to find that out last year.
Well, I would do it. I would love to take that island hopper anytime. I'd really want to try that. I haven't done it yet, but at least so I could set foot on all those different islands, because they let you get off the plane for a little bit.
It's absolutely worth it, but of course, to get one of these, you do have to leave the airport. So that would be a minimum 2-night stay until you catch the flight. Actually, yeah, 1-night stay if you want to just do a round trip, or a 2-night stay if you want to continue forward. But like I said, every time I go to the islands, I like to bring something back from the island just to represent the travels.
Yeah, like bringing Burger King back from Guam. That's it's awesome. Man, well, that's all great stuff, and looking forward to more stuff. Anything else new and exciting in your world?
That is really about it. Looking around my office, and there's nothing too much new over here. Oh yeah, I did get a thing from the I Love Saipan store. If you ever notice in the back, you see that wood plank on the wall. And I really like that one because it's Jeanette's Pier and I believe Nag's Head. And so when I saw that on the wall, I'm like, oh my gosh, I know that place. And so Jeanette's Pier in Nag's Head, North Carolina. I was surprised to see that in the I Love Saipan store.
That is so, it says I Love Saipan on it.
Yeah. And I know we don't have fishing piers like that in Guam or the CNMI, or I don't think anywhere in Micronesia do we have a fishing pier like that, but it was destroyed by several hurricanes and they kept rebuilding it over the decades. Finally, they did it right, and they built it with reinforced concrete on pylons way up high. And so we'll see how long this one lasts.
But that would be like selling a picture of the Eiffel Tower and saying, I love New York. Like, it doesn't make... That is Saipan, baby. I'll take it. That is... What are they selling over there?
Hey, it's the beach.
It's not our beach, but they figure, you've seen one and you've seen them all.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, that is spectacular. I'm going to get it.
That's great.
Made a sell.
Thanks. That's a great plug for the I Love Saipan store. I want to go down there and see what they got now. And that might be the new game. What's the most ridiculous thing you could find at I Love Saipan? Deal.
Oh,
Challenge.
So much novelty stuff.
Challenge accepted. I'll see if I can't one-up you. Is there an I Love Guam store?
I don't think so. There's ABC store. There's the JP Superstore in Tumon, and another set of souvenir shops, including Kmart. But I don't think there's an I Love Guam store. And so maybe we need one of those over here.
I like it. Was the Christmas tree always there, or did you just put it up for this time of the season?
I just put that up. I actually got it off of Facebook Marketplace. And so I really need to clean my desk, because I usually have one sitting on my desk somewhere too. But I just don't have much room in my office anymore. So I need to do a big spring clean so I can put my stuff in here.
I love it. All right. Well, I'm not sure when we're getting back down there, but when we do, we received a lot of feedback about our trip down there, and like to do more of it. But next time it'll be when probably when you're not building something, and we can get down there and get down to the Weather Service and see how we can show you how to work some of that software.
I have an idea. We usually host the Tumon Bay Music Festival, and we have a number of musicians from school groups, whether it's band, orchestra, or choirs, that come down from Saipan. And so that's going to be in early to mid-March, and that'll be the 20th anniversary for the Tumon Bay Music Festival. So maybe that would be a great time for you to come down and really follow the Saipan groups that are performing here on the island.
That's a great idea. Man, that is an outstanding idea. We just have to think of where the venue is going to be for me to do the show and do all that stuff. That's a great idea. I love it. Got advanced planning for March.
Talk.
Yeah.
We'll definitely talk.
All right. Well, Landon, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Talk about weather and everything else that's exciting going on down there. And hopefully will let us know how your computer survives that restart.
Well, right now it's just all stopped, and that's I think it's a frozen screen right now. So I'll deal with that later.
All right. Thanks, Landon. Have a great day.
Thanks, Brad. See you later, CNMI.
All right. Take care. All right. That's Landon Eilert from the National Weather Service, our favorite meteorologist. 4 out of 5 dentists agree he's the best meteorologist out here in the CNMI. Well, I'll tell you what, it was certainly interesting seeing the camera get a little crazy, or the computer get a little crazy. But it looks like we've got some great weather ahead, so that's the best part. That is some of the best news out of that conversation, is that we're going to be in good shape for weather. So fantastic then. Fantastic. All right, let's keep on moving. We're going to take a real quick break. We come back. We'll have more about everything that's happening out here in the Marianas, including your next AP regular update. We're going to talk about the election that's coming on, that early voting's happening right now. Get out there and vote right now. You get yourself, in just a few minutes, actually, in about 7 minutes, you start voting over there at the multi-purpose building here in Saipan. All right, we'll be back with a little bit more about what's happening here right after this. Maybe if I click the right button.
If you're a person with a disability in the CNMI, you have certain rights that protect your ability to vote. This video contains some information about your rights and some resources available to you in protecting those rights.
What are some of your voting rights as a person with a disability? You have the right to vote regardless of your disability. You have the right to cast your vote privately without disclosing your vote to anyone. But you also have the right to ask for assistance as needed. Polling place workers should be ready and available to assist and accommodate your needs. CNMI law requires that you must be registered to vote in the CNMI. You can vote if you are a citizen or national of the United States, at least 18 years of age on the date of the election, domiciled in the CNMI, a resident of the CNMI, and have resided in the Commonwealth for 120 days, are not serving a sentence for a felony, have not been declared by the court of unsound mind, and have registered to vote at least 60 days before the election.
As a voter with a disability, you have the right to vote in an accessible voting place. That means you can get from your car through the door to cast your ballot without physical barriers or impediments.
Under the CNMI law, any voter who needs help in casting a ballot is entitled to request for assistance. A poll supervisor or the executive director of the Commonwealth Election Commission can provide assistance at the polling place, or you can exercise your right to curbside vote. However, whether you vote at curbside or not is your choice. No poll worker can force you to vote curbside. If you are unable to mark your ballot, you may select up to 2 people to help you cast your vote, except that they cannot be your employer or your employer's agent.
The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 requires public entities to provide progress access, reasonable modification of policy, auxiliary aids and service where necessary to afford an individual with a disability an equal opportunity to participate in and enjoy the benefits of the services, program, or activity being conducted by the public entity.
Our primary goal is to have 100% participation of eligible voters in all elections, 100% polling place accessibility, and options for all voters who seek independent and private voting. If you want to know more about your voting rights, please contact the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems Incorporated at 670-235-7273 or 74, or you can simply visit our website at www.nmpasi.org.
This video was brought to you by the Administration for Community Living and does not necessarily reflect their official views.
A little over 3 months ago, I declared my candidacy for CNMI's delegate to U.S. Congress. I wanted to give our voters a different choice, a choice more befitting the spirit of our islands, a choice who isn't beholden to big money party politics, and someone who would voice the collective interests of all who call the CNMI home. Service to our community starts with a dignified, even-keeled approach to every issue with all people all the time. Our next delegate needs to be someone with a proven, unblemished record of placing a high value on dignity and respect for all. Our next delegate needs to be someone focused on service above self. And our next delegate needs to be someone who is willing to represent all of our citizens, not just a select few. Our strength lies in our unity, and our community needs an honest leader who is committed to safeguarding and preserving our Commonwealth as a whole, not someone preoccupied with self-preservation through political gamesmanship. I know what it takes, and I have the proven experience to lead others in service to our community. My name is James Rayfand, and I want to be your voice in Washington. This November, when you step into the ballot box, please vote number 4. Please vote James Rayfand.
This ad was paid for by the committee to elect James M. Rayfand, and we approve this message.
Persistence to build, be the inspiration, they witness approve. We do what we do by the rules in the book. Be a lottie where discipline and vision is built. We lead by example, persistence to build. Be the inspiration, they witness approve. We do what we do by the rules in the book.
Got Medicaid? Paradise Dental's got you covered. Got you covered from the moment you walk in the door with some of Saipan's best smiles. Medicaid covers your fillings, your extractions, and your checkups with no out-of-pocket expense. And Medicaid covers all of your x-rays without any additional cost to you. So remember, if you've got Medicaid, you're covered. Don't wait for a toothache. Call Paradise Dental today. Come here often. All right, welcome back. It is 8 a.m. here in Saipan, and normally what we would do is roll right into the Associated Press update, and we will, I promise, don't worry. You won't be lacking for an update. But why go to the AP when you have the GB? Yes, we have Greg Borja in studio. He is running for the Board of Education. No, he's not one of the 15 candidates running for Congress. He is running for the Board of Education. He's been a member for a couple of terms now. He's even been the chairman, I think, of the board. And luckily for us, we've got him in studio, and he's running again. He's also a friend of the show, and we've got him with us. So, Greg, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Brad, for having me come on in.
Well, it's great. It's even better when I have your microphone on.
I think so.
So it's great to see you. Thanks so much for being in here and talk about all kinds of cool stuff. There's so many topics we could talk about, but the main thing is that you have been a member of the Board of Education. And now you want to, you want to stay there. And there's a whole bunch of people running for just a couple of spots.
Yeah, it's true. I got on the board 4 years ago, and wow, Brad, I can't believe how fast 4 years just blew by, And the way that our board is clicking right now, I feel like we have more work to do. And so I stepped back into the ring to try it out for another term, see what we can do to finish some things out. It's all for the benefit of the kids and the system as a whole. And so that's my main reason for really wanting to just continue on the board right now.
Well, I did not pay as much attention to the Board of Education until you got on. And one of the things, the last election, I was really surprised when I saw one of my other friends who was running for the board. And I'm like, I don't understand everybody's motivation to do it. So tell me, what was your motivation to decide to be a part of the public schools in the direction of education in the Marianas?
Wow. Well, thanks for that. About 8 years ago, I saw some things happening up at the board where it really looked like it was the board that was running the system and not the commissioner at the time. And I thought there's some changes that need to be made. And, instead of just being that person that just talks about it, I really wanted to, I'm a person of action. And so I wanted to throw my hat in there and see what I could do. And so that was my first step. My kids have all been through the public school system since, kindergarten, Head Start, all the way up. They all graduated MHS. So I have faith in the school system, I taught for the school system for about 8 years at San Vicente Elementary School as a PE teacher and I guess I taught reading, a little bit. So we ran a program. I have a love of reading, and I like to share that with the students. And then I love sports, and so I'm a big supporter when it comes to any type of sports. And so that's really kind of pushed me to get in, is just to keep working with the students. I have another job, and what do you call it? But I've always had that passion of working with kids.
Well, have another job. You have a real job, and it's the PSS is. I know there's a lot of work involved for being a member of the board, but it's not like it's a job where you get paid for to become a member of the Board of Education.
No, not at all. And I think that's a misconception a lot of people have. They always ask me, how are you working 2 jobs? And I said, well, I really don't get paid to be on the board. It's an elected volunteer position, really. If we're there for 2 to 4 hours, we get $30, to join a meeting. And anything after that, you get $60. So it's not like we're getting paid like the Cannabis Commission or the Casino Commission or anything like that. So it is truly a volunteer work. And at heart, I am a volunteer in the community. I do as much as I can for our community. I really feel like giving back for everything that I've gotten growing up and, the life that I've had. And I just want to have other people be able to get those similar opportunities. But yeah, that's something that people always ask me, that you getting paid for that? I'm like, no, not at all, man. It's rolling
in the big bucks at $30 for 4 hours. I mean, that's a big meeting commitment. You're fortunate to be able to be in a role that allows you to do that, right? To give so much of your time, and it's a considerable amount of time that you got to put in for directing everything that's happening. And the next year is going to be a real interesting year for the Board of Education, and I can imagine. I know a little bit about it. I'm on the board for where my kids go to school, mm-hmm. and the private schools have members on the Board of Education, right? There's the private school component, and they don't tell us the stuff that they can't tell us, but we have a little bit of insight into what's coming in the next year or so. And it's going to take a steady hand, somebody who knows what's going on, to help guide our public schools for what's coming.
Yeah, I tell you, and that's something that you really have to take into consideration. What's really going to affect the school in the coming years. Like when I first got on, we were just entering the pandemic, and that was where I really said, man, I want to step up and see how I can help the school system move forward. And, thankfully we were able to secure some federal funding, to pay for salaries, to pay for operations of the school. But now that all that federal funding is gone, we're at this fiscal cliff, and that's really the big one that people, need to be aware of. It may seem like when you see the budget for the PSS gets a lot of money in their budget, but if you look at the overall budget, our personnel costs alone are close to $41 million a year, right? We employ about 1,100 employees.
Wow.
And then, so in order to make payroll, we have to look for $41 million. But, all we're getting from our local appropriations, in the last few years was $28 million, right? So we're already at a shortfall. And so this year we got some additional funding, right? About $5 million additional into the school system, and we're using it properly. We're not just, giving everybody raises or anything like that. This is just for sustaining current positions and everything, and also making sure that the schools aren't falling apart, getting dilapidated. It's heartbreaking what's been going on with Hopwood, for example. That's been a thorn in my side ever since. I did my internship when I was getting my bachelor's degree at Hopwood when they were in the tents. This is way back in 2018, 2019. And I mean, for the kids to be suffering like that, I mean, there's kids that have already went through their 3 years there. And then we have kids now that are just starting their 3 years in the school. It's still slowly getting built up. Luckily, we do have some FEMA money that's sitting there for us to get the permanent structure up and going. And I'm really hoping, and fingers are crossed, that we're going to have that done. It's going to be started, and then I think it's still going to be like a 2-year process. But we're moving in these temporary modular classrooms, so at least the kids aren't all split session. They're going to get a full day of school in. It's going to be time for them to be able to socialize with their classmates and everything. And again, just have that school pride once again. They all do great and they love their school despite what they're going through right now. But we just got to make it better for the students.
You talked about giving back to the community as one of the driving points for you to do this, and you are one of the lowest key massive volunteers in the community. By the way, so full disclosure, Greg's my friend, right? I've known him for years. We played soccer together and against each other. You name it, all that stuff. But it was only in the last, I think, 5 or 6 years, where I got to see that other layer of the onion, right? I think I know people. And then I really find out about all the stuff they do outside of that limited prism that I have to view them in, right? From just soccer and hanging out. No, you're at all these track and field events, being a marshal or helping with the timing, helping with everything that happens. Again, for like nothing. You do that stuff for public schools. You do this stuff for the cross country events too. And that's why I'm like, wow, how did I not see you in all these things? You've been there this whole time doing all these different things, but I was never paying attention to that stuff. And also, I didn't go to a lot of those things because they didn't pertain to me because my kids weren't participating. But you've been there doing this stuff. And, man, that's it's just outstanding, man. I love seeing you do all that. Oh, and by the way, I see the Oceania Athletics shirt. He's an international masters athlete now too, competing in the Oceania Games. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's really fun. And I need to get back into training. We got another championship coming up in 2025 down in Tonga. And so I think that would be great. I missed my opportunity to go to Fiji this year, whole airline issue. But athletics is something I grew up with, track and field. And so, going back to it, I guess, I started because of my kids, again, soccer. I mean, I coached, refed soccer for probably about 12 years, since 2005. And that was a lot of my time, my spare time. And I think the more I volunteer, the less trouble I get into, because I don't know what to do when I don't have something to do. I usually fall into other categories, maybe not so healthy for me. But after I basically just said I need something different than soccer, I started helping out with weightlifting. And so weightlifting has been good, and I got an opportunity to go to the Pacific Mini Games down in Vanuatu and then meet with other athletes. And again, just looking at how our kids from the islands are competing on that regional stage, and thought it was great. I later got involved with track and field and athletics as a referee. I'm working towards what's called a bronze certification, so I can ref more international events. But my hopes are to be in Palau, this next summer in June and July for the mini games. I think that'll be so fun.
That's outstanding. I mean, it's just how you do all these things, and our kids and our sports, not even just youth sports, but even the adults, it doesn't happen without somebody who's passionate about doing stuff for the community. You're not there for the photo ops. You're there for, I have seen you in photo ops, but that's not why you're showing up. You're not doing these as resume points. You're not posting on social media saying, hey, this is Greg, look at me. I am your champion. No, but you're out there being that guy for everybody. And it's just great to see, man. You're just one of these, you're a humble guy who just does a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And again, it's something that, altruism, I guess is what the term for it. I just feel good when I volunteer. I mean, a couple of years ago, Hopwood, going back to that, they had a soccer team, but they had kids that wanted to play soccer, but they didn't have a coach. And so I was told, hey, these kids aren't going to have the opportunity to play without a coach. So I said, step up, I'll do it. I'll coach those kids for a season. Same thing happened this year. Oleai Elementary School needed a coach. If not, the kids weren't going to be able to play. And I just don't want to see students losing opportunities, to get out there, and experience new things too. Many of our kids are brand new from Oleai that hadn't played soccer before. And, just to see the smiles on their face and then try to get them to join some of the youth clubs out there. I pushed a bunch of them towards Pyrie, at the word of our buddy McKagan, he said, hey, we got openings in Pyrie. But again, it's trying to create opportunities for our kids in and outside of school, because again, when I was growing up, if it wasn't for sports, I was going to be in a lot of trouble, and sports kept me out of trouble. And so that's how I see my life now. This volunteering, it keeps me out of trouble, makes the wife happy that I'm out doing something fun instead of just partying with the boys,
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, we got to see your wife playing soccer the other night. She played outstanding for the Matanza team. Great stuff. Man, I'll tell you, you're a volunteer, you're an athlete, you're a master's athlete. You're a good friend to your friends, but then you're also a veteran.
Yes.
You want to tell folks about your service?
Yeah, well, I signed up when I was 17. I was living in Long Beach, California for the Marine Corps. Unfortunately, my mom had to sign my paperwork for me because I was still a minor. So she said, the only way you're going in is reserves. So I said, not a problem. I really want the experience. I grew up as an Army brat. So I've lived on bases almost my whole life. We bounced around the country with my dad. And then, so when I got into boot camp, Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego, it wasn't really a culture shock for me because I've been growing up through it. But it's a wonderful experience, and I think our students that are involved, like with the JROTC, they get some of that similar experience, It's all about learning discipline, responsibility. You're taking accountability for your own actions, and it's all about integrity, doing what you say you're going to do. I was pretty fortunate when I got in was in 1992, and then Bill Clinton became our president right after I finished all my training. I'm in artillery, so I'm a gun bunny. And so I did some training in Oklahoma, but then when I got assigned to my reserve unit, we were out of 29 Palms at the time. It was a peaceful time in the world, and so my whole career, I didn't... I don't want to say have an opportunity, but I never had to go like to a foreign area, or to defend our country anyway. But I still served proudly as a Marine, So we did our regular training duties. It's just the whole time that I was in, my unit was never activated. It's interesting.
So great story. When I got out of the service, I got back home. By the way, our stories are super similar, except for I joined the Army at 17. My parents had to sign for me to get in also. I was active and I was infantry. So, I mean, and I'm the one with the hearing loss. So you would think that the artillery guy, right? But when I got out of the Army, I did deploy. I passed up, or I paused a great assignment to go with my unit to Southwest Asia. It was like the last little bit, because when Clinton did come into office, a lot of stuff was going away. Our mission seemed to be going away. And so I went to Southwest Asia, and I was pulling security at Patriot missile sites, right? So that's how I got my VFW eligibility and all that. But I didn't have to deal with a lot of stuff that a lot of the guys that came home recently had to deal with. So come home after I'm out, and I'm with my dad and one of my buddies' dads, who was the manager of our hockey team. My dad, when he was the coach, this was his good buddy, coach and manager all the time. So they take me out for some chicken wings and some beer. And my buddy's dad goes, Brad, I know you did a great job in the Army. Really? He's like, because we never got invaded. I'm like, that's it. I did. That's how. So, Greg, I know you were a great Marine because while you were in, we never got invaded.
Yeah, well, it's true. Although one of the cool things about the Marine Corps Reserves that's still going on till today that I did take part in for 3 years is Toys for Tots, and that's I started seeing the boxes coming up already now, and I think that's a wonderful program. One of my first duties when I got assigned to my unit was we had to go and collect and start stacking up all these boxes, get ready to distribute them out to different, like say, orphanages and shelters for children. And just, seeing the kids' faces light up because, they're living in a really harsh life at that point. And just to get a present, for Christmas, I mean, it's just game-changing for them. So I'm really happy to see that that's been brought to Saipan the last few years. And again, I think we just saw the chamber in here. They have a Toys for Tots box right in front of their office. And so I try to donate a new toy every year, minimum, at least to try to help some kids out. I also donate some things to like the Salvation Army because they also help some students and kids that are in shelter here on island. But again, that was something that in the Marine Corps, it's a great mission that they have, because we always think about military being just, war or whatever, but we actually do a lot in the community. You look at after Typhoon Sodalor, for example, we had the guardsmen came in, really helped clean up the island, help fix some of our infrastructure. And there's opportunities in the military that it's not all just about artillery and infantry, combat arms. Students that graduate and they want to get into the military, I always talk to them. Study, do well on your ASVAB, get into computers, get into mechanics. My kumpiri, he's a helicopter mechanic in the Army before. Now he's living in Germany, and that's what he does. He fixes tour helicopters, so he's living the life out there. He's making great money, and it's a skill he learned through the military. I mean, a lot of our guys that are in our reserve unit here, in artillery, we don't have a lot of cannons to shoot around island. Once you get off duty. So if you're either doing like some kind of law enforcement or public safety, because that's basically teach us guard duty, how to use weapons, but there's so much more that the military can offer nowadays, and that's something that I think is great too. I think we were talking about it a while ago about how technology is just expanding, and even in the military, it's expanding. And again, I just like the opportunities that they offer right now.
I just never would have thought about it. I didn't know where I was going to go, what I wanted to do when I was 17. I didn't know what my next step was. I didn't know. I figured it was going to be college, and I was going to be grow up to be some boring business guy and all this other stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll do something cool now while I can. And I saw those, not DVDs, the laser discs, the giant laser disc that looked like an LP. Yep. They put it in that giant player, and they show the guys, wearing the camo and the face paint going through the jungle. I'm like, oh, this looks really cool. You know what they didn't show? What happens when it rains? They didn't. I just figured they come. Nope, they do not come in when it rains. If it ain't raining, we ain't training. And so they got me on that one. But even though I had a great experience, which just poking fun at it a little bit, nothing negative, but I did not appreciate all the opportunities of what I could have done if I had stayed in the service. Not that this is really going to be the big service conversation, but like there are so many opportunities. You don't just have to be, what you would think of everybody who joins the military. You're this, and that my thought was that's infantry. Like I wanted to do that, but man, the idea like there was like what I'm doing now. There's communication stuff for this. There's they call it like public affairs, or they have it used to be civil affairs units that they would have in the reserves. All those kind of things, they're available to folks out here. And the best part is they will pay for your education.
Yes. And I really wish I would have at the time. My GI Bill expired way before I decided to go to college. But that's something I wish I had taken the opportunity on. One of my buddies, though, he's in the Navy. And again, he was on like submarines and stuff, but he worked electronics, like you're saying, and as soon as he got out of the service, he took that GI Bill and ran with it, and he got his degree and everything in like doing computer work and all that. That's what he does now. He does cybersecurity.
Wow.
So it's amazing opportunities out there. And again, and it goes to bring it back to like, education. a lot of our students, when they graduate, they're looking for opportunities, what they're going to do when they graduate. A lot of them want to go off island, or they don't all want to go to school, so they look towards the military. But again, there's so many benefits, and you could be a lifer in the military, would be great, because we have some leaders here on island who retired Army, and you learn some great leadership skills. They also have Army colleges, but again, your GI Bill will help pay for your whatever degree program you're seeking, and continuing education is something huge. I mean, it took me a while, about 24 years, to finally get my bachelor's degree. I'm currently working on a master's degree now, because I do see the value in education, and I feel like I'm a lifelong learner. But, as what was it? Mark Twain said, I never let my education get in the way of my learning. Right? Because you got to learn something new every day, and that's what I do. I learn a lot listening to your show every morning. Honestly, I think there's some great people you bring in, and it just sparks ideas, that help me move forward every day too.
Oh, now we're going to use that over and over for our promos. Hey, just touching back to some of the comments here. Tobot was happy that we got you on there. He said, good thing you're doing, Mr. Borja, disability advocate, turning to help our children with the education system. Josh Wise, I love you, Greg Borja, doing the little I love you fingers thing. Norman Del Rosario with a Thundercats when we were talking about soccer. That's awesome. Oh, that was a great throwback. Tobot saying thanks for your service. Vincent Raymond saying hello, Greg Borja. Good morning, sir. Send my regards to your Mel from Chairman and family.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's good, folks. Be remiss. Yesterday there was an incident over at Hopwood. Someone actually brought up. It says. Good morning, sir. Based on yesterday's incident, how can we ensure student safety? Anyone could just enter the campus because there's no security. I don't think that's what happened yesterday, though.
No, and I can't really get into it. That's not my place, really. Mm-hmm. But from what I understand is that there was somebody that was able to get by security at the school. But, the administration was able to handle the situation rather quickly, in terms of what it was. Our commissioner got involved. They have an incident response team that was able to get down there, identify what was going on, and we collaborate with DPS. So it might be freaky every once in a while when you hear, oh man, the schools are locked down, and then rumors were just flying around of what went down.
Yes.
And that's what we really need to hold off on. I mean, because one person says one thing, and we got to wait for some official reports, and so the commissioner was able to get something broadcast out, that everyone at the school was safe, it was taken care of. Again, the incident was... I don't know how. I mean, most schools you go to, there's a process. You can't just get on campus, without somebody noticing you. They usually have security guards placed right at the front entrance, either like a school aide or some other kind of security personnel. And we do want to ensure that our students are safe at school. I don't really know the full extent of what happened there yesterday, but again, I just want to say that everyone is safe, and that they are taking additional steps at that campus in particular, because maybe there's gaps in the security that they got to address.
Well, the good news is we got a good bit of info from DPS. They put everything out. We posted it yesterday, and it sounded like it was like one of the students there. But anyway, the good news is that's already being dealt with, and that part's being investigated, and the folks from the school even reached out to us to let us know that how things went down. So it was really great how quick everything got handled. And but I'll tell you, it definitely was interesting. And that's, by the way, not just a PSS thing. That is a CNMI wide thing about the rumors stuff, making sure that the information is coming from a trusted source every time. Not I heard that. Make sure that it's verified. And if somebody does say something, I heard that, that's great. But you don't spread that kind of info, because it just starts getting people whipped up. You got to make sure that you're only sharing verified info.
Yeah, that's very true. Y'all were talking about it yesterday, you and PK, investigative journalism, for example. Make sure that your facts are in line and in order before you say anything. Right now, people just catch wind of it, and they're just like, hey, man, this is what's going on, without verifying any of your sources, like you're saying. And again, I think that can cause more of a panic, and it could cause harm, potentially cause harm when, people are going to freak out and maybe not stay orderly and whatnot. And again, to ensure safety, we want to make sure that, people aren't shocked by something that's not true, so let's get our facts straight, before we put that message out there.
Yep.
So again, I appreciate what the public school system did in terms of response and how they got the message out. There's always room for improvement and getting that word out a little bit quicker. But again, they needed to ensure they had all the facts and everything was safe and in order before they did it.
Yesterday we had you in for something different.
Yes.
We had you in here yesterday afternoon for Advocacy Amplified, the NM Posse podcast.
Yeah, it's great, and thanks for putting that together. The team is over at NM Posse, where I work. We've been looking at different ways to reach out to the community. And we've tried all the old tried and true things, advertise in the newspaper, do some ads on KSPN or whatnot. But then podcasts, our next step would probably to get like onto a platform like Spotify or something like that, even if it's without video.
Mm-hmm.
But I listen to podcasts more, I listen to music nowadays, just because I like listening to information and I'm still learning. I try not to get into these like one-sided political talk shows or anything like that, but I listen to things about like comic books, sci-fi movies. That's my jam. But again, but with Advocacy Amplified, it's something that we've started pushing. Our national affiliate has been pushing podcasts to see if organizations like ours can get information out more and more, and then share it amongst the different organizations like NM Posse. And so our focus yesterday, because it's basically started already, it's this election season. And we want to ensure that voters with disabilities have the opportunity to fully exercise their right to vote, that they can do it privately, that they can do it in an accessible location, and that, they're not going to be coerced by anybody. And if they need assistance, they can bring in the folks that want to help them. So that way I don't have to just say, man, I don't know who you two are, and you're going to see who I'm marking my ballot. Because maybe I can't write, or if I can't see, I'm going to have to like say the name out. So there's certain steps that need to be taken to ensure that there's privacy. And so that's what our podcast yesterday was all about, because we have early election that just started. We want to make sure that people can get in there, our manumco, our people with mobility limitations, those that might be visually or have some hearing limitations. And so that's the main thing. We want 100% of eligible voters to vote, right? Just, if you're registered, get out there and cast your vote. Make your voice heard. Your voice does matter.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. That's one of the things, like, when I found out what you did for a living years ago, I'm like, man, another layer to this onion. Like, again, talking about how when you meet folks and you get to know them more and more over time. But like when I meet guys for like sports or hanging out or something like that, I'm like, all right. But then like you are part of this organization, now the executive director of an organization that's sole purpose is to help people advocate for what they're entitled to, for all kinds of, if they have any limitations that they're pushed away and that somebody's there for them to do that. It's like the most selfless kind of organization. I love this thing, man. This is, it's an organization that I absolutely love. I just think it's so cool that one of my friends is a guy who does this stuff.
Yeah, I've been there for 22 years, and I wouldn't be there that long if I didn't love what I do and love the people that I work with and work for. And it's really interesting because we work with very vulnerable populations out there. And a lot of times I work with primarily my first 20 years working at the organization, I work with people that have mental health needs, right? They have mental illnesses diagnosed. And so I'm going into places like the psychiatric unit, and they may have behavior that seems erratic or they might be scary to some folks, but to me, I just treat them like I would anybody else, like as if, it was an old time friend, and just dignity and respect. You treat everybody in the world like that, we're going to have less problems. And so just getting to know them on a personal level and see how I can help them ensure that they're safe in the environment that they're staying in. I mean, that's something that I think is worthwhile, and again, as a U.S. citizen or as a person living in a U.S. territory, we do have rights, and we want to keep people protected, in those rights. And so, yeah, it is strong work, and I really got to give it up to the staff that I work with. They all have the same heart and passion for this type of work in terms of working with people. Who again are not your typical individual that you see. You might see some of the folks we work with walking on the sides of the street, you're talking to themselves. They might be struggling in school, and we get in there to ensure that they're getting the right kind of education that they need. Some people don't want to get hired, or they don't want to hire people with disabilities because they're afraid that they're not going to come to work or they're not going to be able to do a job. But, if they can do the essential functions of that job, give them an opportunity, give them a chance, see what can happen. And a lot of times you're going to be surprised, by the level of work and commitment that our people with disabilities have in the workforce.
Well, I tell you, for many years with different people working in that office, the culture in that office is amazing. I've always thought incredibly fondly of it. In fact, that's how I even our late friend Jimmy Big Tuna, right? I had him when I was going to your office back when I was with the Tribune, even when I was doing all those stories about the NFL picks and all that other stuff with him in there. And I'll tell you, but no matter who's there, the compassion for folks and the dedication to what you do has been there in that office. It hasn't dropped off. It's you've got it's the best championship organization. When you go from say the San Antonio Spurs, when they went from having David Robinson to the Tim Duncan era, those guys, it was the same kind of thing, the same kind of flow the whole way through. And it always seemed like it was team first. And that office seems like that to me every time I go in there. So it's a really cool feeling. I don't know that I've been a part of a lot of organizations that were like that, and that's something that you guys do every day for work, and you've been there for 22 years. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's something I love, and I'm really glad you brought up Jimmy. Big Tuna really set an example on how we work with people over at In Posse. He treated people fairly, no matter who you were, where you came from, what your ability or disability was. And that really rubbed off on me, and he was just such a great guy, man. What a role model in the community. He's sorely missed, But yeah, it's from people like Big Tuna. Our former director, Jim Rayfen, he's another guy that really worked hard and showed us how to work with people with disabilities. And again, all my coworkers right now, they're doing a great work, and they inspire me to do better. So it's good stuff.
Hey, you talk about going to the hospital and visiting a lot of other folks. When you're doing the stuff, now taking all this stuff back to the PSS side, how often are you able to get out to the schools? Do you get to go out to the schools? Do you get to meet the leadership from the schools? What happens when you're a board member? What are the real functions of some of the things you guys do?
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing it back to that. So, and this goes back to where I think that there was a change that I wanted to make, and some of our current board members wanted to make. I don't go to the schools very often. I don't feel that it's necessary for me to be disruptive to what they've got going on. I will go there if I'm invited, or if there's some kind of an event or whatnot. But I'm not sneaking on campus and saying man, what are you guys doing? Where are these kids at? That's really the Commissioner of Education's job. And if we do get feedback from principals and from teachers, parents, all alike, those are all my constituents. So I get phone calls, emails quite regularly. And if there are some major concerns, I always run it up to the commissioner and say, hey man, we need to address this, right? And so again, when it comes to sports activities, those types of things, maybe some flag ceremonies, I'll show up to the schools. But as a board member, our main job is to set policy, right, and procedures. So we look at things like, ensuring that our pay scales are accurate, for what we're paying our teachers. We're dealing with sick leave policies, different things like that. We're also looking at the finances, how we're going to move forward as a system based on the limited amount of money we have. How are we getting supported from certain federal programs that all benefit the students, in the long run. That's my main thing. So as a board member, that's what we're basically supposed to be doing and looking at is what kind of policies and procedures are in place, what regulations do we have that need to be changed with the changing times, Simple things like board meetings before you had to be in person, or you could do it through teleconference, right? Where you just ring the phone and you're on speakerphone. But they didn't account for things like you could do it through Zoom or Teams, anything like that. So those are just different kinds of policies. We also have to make changes too as technology improves as well. And again, school safety, we do things like help choose the school lunches at the beginning of the school year, setting the school calendar and having to make changes like if we miss days of school because of typhoon or some kind of other natural disaster. So that's what the Board of Education is all about, is it's policy making. And we're not really supposed to get our hands into the operations of the system itself, the schools. We do have our say, of course, though, when it comes to different curriculum that's being introduced. Like if they want to make a change in curriculum, it goes through committee, it's reviewed and vetted, and then it's brought to the board for an approval on what the school system wants to change. And I always enjoy things like that. I like looking at what they're doing in terms of when it comes to making changes in math or in language arts. I'm really interested in like social studies type curriculum as well. But I haven't been on those committees for a couple of years now in terms of working with the instructional side of it. But that is something that we do hear about at our regular board meetings in terms of what any changes we're going to do to the curriculum. And then we make votes. We have a lot of discussion about it. And that's one of the things also that we've been working as a board too, is being more transparent. We don't really want to have that many closed door meetings or executive sessions where we're deciding things unless it's about a specific person, like a personnel issue or a legal matter that we really can't let the public know about yet. But for the most part, we really look to say everything out in the open and in the public. That's something I want to be transparent. I want to let you know what I'm thinking. You may not agree with what I'm thinking about doing, but at least it's out there and I'm going to say it. I'm not going to say it behind your back or behind closed doors of how I feel. One issue, for example, is the changes in the pre-screening testing for marijuana within the government and whether or not we should do that for PSS employees as well. I think there's some vital roles when it comes to pre-drug screening for certain positions and whatnot. But I don't. Other than that, especially with marijuana's status here at the CNMI, and this is what I said in our committee meeting, is that I'm not trying to dictate what you do on your off hours, as an employee of PSS. But if there's probable cause that you're all baked out in class or something when you should be teaching, that's going to be a safety issue, right? You could be a danger to the students. That's when testing might need to occur. Right, especially for things like marijuana. Mostly, I think people get erratic because of methamphetamines, and so that one definitely, I think we should leave that on the pre-screening. Unless you're like going through some kind of rehabilitation, because you do have rights, for a substance use disorder when it comes to that. But again, those are kind of the issues that we tackle, and a lot of times the members, we don't agree with each other on those things. But that's what I was saying, is that I think right now our board is at a point where we've been together for at least 4 years, a lot of us, at least 4 of us, and we start seeing how we can work stronger and stronger. There was some friction initially, but I think we've gotten past that in the last few years, and we're doing what's best for the school system.
Well, yeah, you definitely brought a steadying influence for some of the issues that were being discussed that people were getting hot about. And I remember that because that's when I started getting interested, like, hey, what's going on over there at the board? And that's the only reason why the Board of Education became like the most popular thing. Like, what's going on? All the press is here, all the live streams and all that, what's really happening. But I think your presence kind of calmed a lot of that stuff down. And I don't know, is that what you feel that it was one of your biggest things that you bring to the table with everybody?
Well, I do my best to keep a level head, yes, and then again, it goes back to treating people with dignity and respect. And then even if we can't reach a mutual understanding right now, I do what I can to reach out and see how we can bridge those gaps, And I think that was the main thing, is that people were thinking a certain way, other people were thinking a certain way, and it just wasn't an agreement. But then it got to the point where we all realized, man, what's going on right now is embarrassing. We're embarrassing ourselves, and we just had to get past our own egos and be able to come together, not like through compromise, and so we wanted a win-win situation, and it shouldn't be about what I feel and what I want, because those meetings that were delayed and whatnot a couple years ago, that only hurt the kids in the end, right? And we're there for the students, and that's basically what we all had to think about. And I think that was the turning point. Is just we had to refocus and say, man, why am I really here? What are we really doing? And if it's for the kids, that really is a strong item that brings us together, because of common interests.
I mean, I know you got somewhere to be at 9, but I know that I would love talking about that, but that's not what we were going to really get into today. But I do remember how impressed I was in that situation where, I mean, literally it looked like people were taking sides, and the good guys and these guys who were just trying to be obstructionists on some important stuff, and I couldn't believe it. And that was it. So, and that's what really got me involved in paying attention to it again, a couple of years ago. So now you're coming up against it. The election is coming up. You've got how many seats are open? How many board seats are there, and then how many are open this time?
So for the elected positions, there's a total of 5 seats. 3 from Saipan, 1 from Tinian, 1 from Rhoda. The Saipan seats rotate. And then the Rhoda and Tinian kind of fall in line. So there's 2 seats open right now for Saipan as of this election, and 1 on Rhoda. Tinian and Saipan's single seat were open last election, and so we have our members in now. So currently there's 2 available seats. Myself and Macy Tenorio we're the incumbent members on the board. We're both running for re-election. And then we do have 3 other people coming in vying for those seats as well. So a total of 5 candidates for the 2 open seats, which is, to me, as far back as I can think, I mean, I've seen 3 people or 4 people at the most. 5's a lot. And so I'm trying to get out. I'm doing what I can to get out there, talk to people, just reassure them on terms of what I've been doing in the last few years, how to help the system. And then letting them know that I do want to continue the work that we're doing. I think there's more we can do. And it's just the fact that, again, that we're just really working well together right now. It's a good working machine. And I really don't want to throw a wrench into that or anything. Mm-hmm. And I think that we can accomplish a lot more with the current board we have. And so, that's what I'm hoping on, is I can get back in, and do what I can do.
Well, that's great. And well, I mean, I'm pulling for you. You're my buddy. I'm excited for you. And, the thing is that he is such not a me first guy. I had to kind of coax him into coming in to talk about it before this. He's like, oh man, no, come on. This is great stuff. You got to have the opportunity to do it. And so thanks for letting me talk you into coming in. But if you get in again, if you get reelected, then what I would love to do, and you could bring your other board members. You guys can decide as a team. But I think it'd be a great regular thing that what's going on with PSS. You want to bring the commissioner. If you guys want to just come as board members, whatever it is, we could structure stuff like that. Of course, I wasn't doing this all out there and all that time, so I can't even give you a hard time as I'm working my way through this too. But it would be great to have you guys come in and give some regular updates.
That would be great, and it's an awesome opportunity. And since you brought it up, I'm just going to plug it in. This Friday, we're actually going to have our proclamation for Education Month. So it's going to be 10 a.m. over at Marianas High School. But again, this November is typically when we recognize our educators. And so this is where we have Education Day. And again, we do need to celebrate our teachers and our educators, our bus drivers, everybody who touches the lives of our students in the school system. They have a positive influence on them, from the bus drivers that pick them up first thing in the morning, to those staff that meet them at the gate if they're a walker, their teachers, the lunch folks, everybody's there to care for these students. And that's what I just want to show that appreciation to them now. But again, we're going to celebrate them next month as well.
That's great. So that's Friday. It's at MHS?
That's where the proclamation will be. So maybe you have to go through security again if you want to get in there. MHS cafeteria. You might have to reach out to the commissioner's office just to make sure you get a pass to get inside. Mm-hmm. But again, they're going to be broadcasting it virtually also, I believe.
Nice.
But having a venue or like that, like what you're offering, I think that's great, because sometimes parents don't have the opportunity to make it to PTA meetings. You know, they're working at night, or, you know, they got other things going on. And it would be a great way just to know not only what's going on if your school, your student's school, but also like within the system as a whole, you know, what we're trying to do to help all the students.
Well, awesome. I love it. It'd be great. We'll look forward to checking that out for sure. All right. Well, I know that I kept you longer than what we thought we were going to do. And I could keep you longer too, but you already told me you got your thing going on at 9 o'clock. So, but thanks for coming in, and thanks for your dedication to the community and wanting to continue doing it. It's really pretty cool. And it's so not like our regular conversations to tell each other how great we are, right? But because we tease each other a bunch and all that, but like, you know, just to have that real genuine conversation to say, you know, it's kind of cool that we got one of you in the community and that we're friends. So thanks for coming on, and thanks for doing great stuff.
Hey, well, I appreciate the time and the opportunity, Brad. It's really nice. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's what we've got for now. We're going to take a real quick break, folks, and then we're going to come back. We'll get you with the Associated Press update that we've got. We'll get you a little update on traffic, and there's a lot of stuff that we haven't talked about, including the update that we got yesterday from the governor's office with regards to the 902 talks. And then we'll talk again about where we're heading after this, because there's an interesting court case happening over there in U.S. District Court. We'll be back with more. Thanks to our guest, Greg, for being here. He's going to go work on some stuff. But in the meantime, if you want to go work on some stuff, why not start working on yourself over at Laddiebuilt 24-Hour Fitness? You never have to worry about them being open for you, because they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They've got everything you need, from free weights to the machines, to the spin bikes, to the hot sauna, to the cold plunge. They got an octagon. They've got supplements. They've got certified fitness trainers. The only thing they need is you. So what are you waiting for?
Persistence of build, be the inspiration, they witness the proof. We do what we do by the rules in the book. We be a Lottie where discipline and vision is built. We lead by example, persistence of build. Be the inspiration, they witness the proof. We do what we do by the rules in the book.
A little over 3 months ago, I declared my candidacy for CNMI's delegate to U.S. Congress. I wanted to give our voters a different choice, a choice more befitting the spirit of our islands, a choice who isn't beholden to big money party politics, and someone who would voice the collective interests of all who call the CNMI home. Service to our community starts with a dignified, even-keeled approach to every issue with all people all the time. Our next delegate needs to be someone with a proven, unblemished record of placing a high value on dignity and respect for all. Our next delegate needs to be someone focused on service above self. And our next delegate needs to be someone who is willing to represent all of our citizens, not just a select few. Our strength lies in our unity, and our community needs an honest leader who is committed to safeguarding and preserving our Commonwealth as a whole, not someone preoccupied with self-preservation through political gamesmanship. I know what it takes, and I have the proven experience to lead others in service to our community. My name is James Rayfand, and I want to be your voice in Washington. This November, when you step into the ballot box, please vote number 4. Please vote James Rayfand.
This ad was paid for by the committee to elect James M. Rayfand, and we approve this message.
If you're a person with a disability in the CNMI, you have certain rights that protect your ability to vote. This video contains some information about your rights and some resources available to you in protecting those rights.
What are some of your voting rights as a person with a disability? You have the right to vote regardless of your disability. You have the right to cast your vote privately without disclosing your vote to anyone. But you also have the right to ask for assistance as needed. Polling place workers should be ready and available to assist and accommodate your needs. CNMI law requires that you must be registered to vote in the CNMI. You can vote if you are a citizen or national of the United States, at least 18 years of age on the date of the election, domiciled in the CNMI, a resident of the CNMI, and have resided in the Commonwealth for 120 days, are not serving a sentence for a felony, have not been declared by the court of unsound mind, and have registered to vote at least 60 days before the election.
As a voter with a disability, you have the right to vote in an accessible voting place. That means you can get from your car through the door to cast your ballot without physical barriers or impediments.
Under the CNMI law, any voter who needs help in casting a ballot is entitled to request for assistance. A poll supervisor or the executive director of the Commonwealth Election Commission can provide assistance at the polling place, or you can exercise your right to curbside vote. However, whether you vote at curbside or not is your choice. No poll worker can force you to vote curbside. If you are unable to mark your ballot, you may select up to 2 people to help you cast your vote, except that they cannot be your employer or your employer's agent.
The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 requires public entities to provide progress access, reasonable modification of policy, auxiliary aids and service where necessary to afford an individual with a disability an equal opportunity to participate in and enjoy the benefits of the services, program, or activity being conducted by the public entity.
Our primary goal is to have 100% participation of eligible voters in all elections, 100% polling place accessibility, and options for all voters who seek independent and private voting. If you want to know more about your voting rights, please contact the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems Incorporated at 670-235-7273 or 74. Or you can simply visit our website at www.nmpasi.org.
This video was brought to you by the Administration for Community Living and does not necessarily reflect their official views.
Got Medicaid? Paradise Dental's got you covered. We've got you covered from the moment you walk in the door with some of Saipan's best smiles. Medicaid covers your fillings, your extractions, and your checkups with no out-of-pocket expense. And Medicaid covers all of your x-rays without any additional cost to you. So remember, if you've got Medicaid, you're covered. Don't wait for a toothache. Call Paradise Dental today. Come here often.
All right, welcome back, Marianas. It is 8:53 in the morning here on Wednesday. It's Hump Day. And look at traffic moving along on Beach Road here in Oleai. Not bad at all. Take a look at that. We got lanes going on both sides. There's a couple people in the middle of that lane. That's okay. They're out there trying to make it even better for you. And there's a lot of people out there in the world trying to make things better, too. We just had one of them in the studio, and it was great to have them. Now, though, we're going to go and find out what's happening everywhere else in the world with the folks from the Associated Press giving us our headlines and letting us know what is going down.
News, I'm Ben Thomas. Kamala Harris is giving her campaign closing argument tonight from the same spot Donald Trump rallied supporters before the Capitol riot. Sagar Magani has a preview.
From the ellipse with the White House in sight, Harris will ask the nation to imagine Donald Trump again in the Oval Office, focused on himself.
Working on his enemies list.
She'd do something different.
I will be working on behalf of the American people on my to-do list.
Harris will stand on the spot where Trump rallied supporters before the 2021 Capitol riot, but her campaign says she'll focus less on that and more on her plans to move the nation forward. Trump says she has none, and America's had enough of her after 4 years.
A total train wreck who has destroyed everything in her path. She's destroyed everything.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Trump gave a rebuttal in advance, speaking to reporters at Mar-a-Lago.
She's running on a campaign of demoralization and really a campaign of destruction. But really, perhaps more than anything else, it's a campaign of hate. It's a campaign of absolute hate.
Trump ally Steve Bannon has been released from prison after serving a 4-month sentence for contempt of Congress. In the Middle East, Gaza's health ministry says 2 Israeli strikes in northern Gaza killed at least 88 people. Israel says it's focused on rooting out Hamas militants there who've regrouped after more than a year of war. But at least 60 of the deaths came when a 5-story building was hit, and more than half of those were women and children. An AP analysis of satellite images indicate Israel's attack on Iran likely damaged a base run by the Revolutionary Guard that builds ballistic missiles and launches rockets as part of its space program. And the WHO says more than 8 million people were diagnosed with tuberculosis last year, the highest number recorded since the UN Health Agency began keeping track. This is AP News. American consumers are feeling considerably more confident as Election Day nears. The Conference Board's index had its biggest monthly gain since March 2021. Meantime, job openings tumbled last month to their lowest level since January 2021, 7.4 million. However, they remain well above pre-pandemic levels. And Seth Sutel has the AP Markets report.
Rising technology stocks sent the Nasdaq Composite to an all-time high, but trading was mixed along the rest of Wall Street. The S&P 500 rose 0.2%, even though most stocks in the index fell. Big gains for Microsoft, Facebook's parent company, and other tech stocks pulled major indexes higher, including an 0.8% jump for the Nasdaq Composite. The tech-heavy index beat the record high it set in July. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 154 points. That's about 0.4%. Ford and homebuilder stocks fell sharply after releasing disappointing profit reports. Treasury yields eased in the bond market. Seth Sutel, New York.
And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
All right, we're back at it. That is your AP update here at 8:57 a.m. here on Hump Day. It is a great day outside. Look at it. It's gorgeous. It's a nice little breeze. It's sunny. It's dry here in the CNMI. And boy, I feel like we earned it. We put in a lot of time getting wet and watching our grass grow way beyond what we're able to cut. But hey, we're back. Look at that. It's gorgeous outside. It is just what we've been waiting for. All right, well, at least you're all caught up with the news that's happening all around the world. You got to hear a little bit about what's happening here. And, big issues happening around the CNMI. The 902 talks were a big one. We were there last week at the courthouse, and we got the info that came from the governor's office. Had a conversation with Mr. I Do Everything for the college / the governor's office, Frankie Liptko. The guy wears more hats than Bob Coldine. I'm telling you, the guy wears a lot of hats. And he's out there, and we got the rundown from all the folks who were in there. I know we looked at the name tags while we were in there. We told you everybody that we saw. But from the CNMI side, leading the delegation, we had Michael Sablon from Triple J, former public auditor and business rep. Also had Matt DeLeon Guerrero, an economist, and up there with the college. Wesley Bogdan, former legal counsel to the former administration and former and current retired CNMI Superior Court judge. Speaker of the House, Edmund Villagomez. The Senate President, Edith DeLeon Guerrero. CNMI Senator from Rhoda, Donald Manglona. Also had Tinian Chamber of Commerce representative from Tinian, Philip Mendiola Long. Matthew Adams as the legal counsel. They also had a team of technical advisors for the CNMI. You had your Secretary of Finance, Tracy Narita. Your Secretary of Labor, Layla Staffler, was there. Frankie Liptko, we already told him he's Vice President for the Administration and Advancement at NMC. Well, he's also basically running all the communications for the governor's office since he took office. Tina Sablon, Senior Policy Advisor, she was there as well for the governor's office. Elizabeth Balahaja from Capital Improvement Project Director of the Office of Management and Budget, OMD. You've got Virginia Villagomez and Marie Coleman from CETA. She's also Patty Coleman's sister. I got to put that in there. I also have your Assistant Secretary of the Interior for Insular and International Affairs, Karma Cantor. She was the highest ranking member of the delegation that came out. Timothy Murphy, he was with the Office of the Solicitor from the Interior Office. Basil Otley, he's the Associate Director of the Policy Division of OIA. Also with OIA, the Associate Director of Budget, Jonathan Dunn. Abdil Razo, he's also with OIA. He's a Policy Associate and Special Assistant to the Assistant Secretary Harry Blanco was there with the Office of Insular Affairs. He's our local rep here. We also had, and we didn't see him, but he was there as an observer. He was the former commander of Joint Region Marianas, current commander of Joint Task Force Micronesia, Rear Admiral Gregory Hoffman. It's something big happening if he's here for sure. No kidding. There were all kinds of folks who were in there and talk about all kinds of things. Here's the official statement that they provided us with regard to the whole thing. And again, this had to get vetted by everybody that was in that room. From the governor, it says discussions last week were open, candid, and productive. He's grateful to Secretary Cantor for her willingness to focus on discussions on the urgent items that are directly aligned with the provisions of the covenant aimed at achieving a progressively higher standard of living for the people of the CNMI. Also thankful for that first consultation meeting that was held in the CNMI so that the U.S. federal team will be able to see firsthand some of the challenges and opportunities that are here. That's a big point because these usually happen to Washington. Everybody goes there. We don't know anything about it. This time they came here and got to see it, like the governor said, firsthand to see what's going on. Governor said it's important to note that the 902 discussions did not end last week. The dialogue will continue over the next few days and weeks as we work toward objectives and agreements that will mutually benefit both the CNMI and the federal government. Good stuff, right? He went on to say the government of the United States and the government of the Northern Mariana Islands will consult regularly on all matters affecting the relationships between them. The President of the United States and the governor of the Northern Mariana Islands will designate special representatives to meet to consider in good faith such issues affecting the relationship between the NMI and the United States. Special representatives will be appointed in any event to it just sounds like that's your standard boilerplate stuff for what it says in the covenant. So that's good stuff, right? Louisa, you're saying what's on tap today? Well, I'll tell you right now at the federal courthouse, there's the trial of 3 folks who booked one-way passage to Guam via boat. 3 Chinese nationals. So that's happening. It opened at 8:15. There was going to be opening remarks at 8:30. And right about now is when they should start with the testimony from one of the helicopter pilots. How about that? So we'd like to get down there. Also today, we got a special session happening at Laddiebuilt. We'll be live today at 11 with what I'm calling today, we're going to call it a spinterview. Tune in, you'll see it. Stick around if you like it. I won't be taking calls and all that stuff, but we'll be able to see your comments. We'll be mic'd up and doing the mobile broadcast, giving it a shot. I want to try something a little bit different. Try to get a little more creative with one of our sponsors by giving them an opportunity to feature some of the stuff that they have there, feature some of their staff that they have there, and really just give them an opportunity to for something different. Show our appreciation for the sponsors that we have by coming up with different opportunities, things that they haven't done before, right? Reaching out to them to try to raise their profile and give them, more exposure with folks. So, tell you that's one of the cool things about being a sponsor with us. We think you're pretty cool for being a sponsor with us, and we want to know what we could do for you. All right, let's see what else we have going on. Just a couple other things. It's been covered already, but over the weekend, there was that near drowning incident that happened over there near the Kensington, where DPS got involved because it was pretty devastating. There was a kid basically who needed CPR to keep him going after he was pulled from the water, and we don't have anything new yet, but we do know that he was at CHCC and that he's from off island. So if we get an update on that situation, we'll let you know. We'll let you know about what happened with Hopwood too. Again, we have a limited amount of info from the folks that we got from DPS. Just like you guys, we know people, and we had conversations with folks who were there to find out what was really going on. And the good news is that the folks at the school did a good job of dealing with the situation, but definitely people got high blood when some of the rumor WhatsApps were going around yesterday. Somebody went in and was shooting everything up. No, it didn't happen. That was not the thing at all. And it was like a pellet gun, like a toy pistol. Those things will still hurt, I'll tell you that. But that's not exactly, it's not one of these devastating things that we hear about in the mainland, right? So thankfully, that kind of mess has not made its way to the NMI. My goodness, what would you do? I know, I'm with you. There would be no escape from my wrath. Right? All right. But that's about what we've got for today. Hey, some good news, though. Baseball is coming back again. I know one lady who hates it when I talk about baseball, but it's okay because I love it and you guys love it too. But baseball is back. We are just a couple of weeks away from baseball. Hold on one second. From baseball being back in the Marianas. For the World Series, though, I know one guy who's pretty happy about the way things are going in the World Series. His name's Tobat Castro. And there it is. Oh, I look it up in the comments. Dodger Nation. I'm telling you, a 3-0 lead in the World Series. Never been done. It happened in the championship, like the league championship, ALCS. The Yankees had a 3-0 lead over the Red Sox. It did not go well for the Yankees. Well, Yankees looking a little rough going into this one. Game 4, Dodgers are just too much. All right, and we're good for that. The next game, hold on. Where are we at? It's today. We're an hour away from the first pitch. In New York, the Dodgers look to finish off the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. First pitch. I want to see if I can find out who the starters are because I don't know. No, it's just a bunch of headlines. They probably announced the starters. I just don't have them handy. But it's going to be a good one. Yeah, Luisa says, just telling Chuck, it's not often that you see a sweep in the World Series, but anything can happen. Hey, anything can happen. Anything can happen in the World Series. It's sports. That's one of the best parts about it. But I'll tell you what, I don't think anyone expected a sweep. That's for sure. But, all right, folks, just a quick reminder. It is open. Early voting is open. It's happening now. If you haven't already, don't worry. If you're waiting for the regular day if you're waiting for actual election day, that's next Tuesday, which is going to be a local holiday faux show. But if you want to get out there and get voting right now, you can go do it. It's opening in Saipan over at the multipurpose building. All right, guys, I'm going to beat feet. I'm going to get down to the courthouse, and then I got to get ready for this spinterview that we're going to do at 11 with the folks over at Laddie Belt. So we'll see you then. So thanks for tuning in today, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning.
Good morning, Marianas. So many things we gotta discuss. Happy day, Tirawamian greetings. To Rhoda, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. For all your island news. From a beautiful place with Pacific views. It's always so much fun. Good morning, Marianas.